Aloha, this is Karen from the Big Island, and I'm here today to help you caregivers with a little information about hospice. A lot of people have misconceptions about what hospice is. So Katherine Werner and Katherine is from North Hawaii Hospice, we wanted to come to you today and just talk a little bit about how this would be a benefit for you caregivers. And then afterwards we'll discuss a little bit about what qualifications are needed for somebody to participate in a hospice program. So thank you, Katherine.
Thank you, Karen.
Could you please paint a picture of how hospice is helpful to caregivers?
I think the main thing is that you're no longer alone, that you have a team, you have people to confer with, and people that are supporting you in your caregiving role and teaching you and helping you make decisions. I don't think people think about that. I think they think about the patient or the loved one. Well, they don't seem that bad. Maybe hospice isn't appropriate. But we can come in and do an assessment and find out if the time is right to start being able to deliver services that are supporting the caregiver.
Yeah, because caregivers, especially if they're spouses or if they're the child of somebody, their role tends to change, and then they end up almost becoming like a parent to those loved ones and getting kind of burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many decisions, like you've said before. A lot of times we've talked about how there's just so many little details and so many choices, and you just want to do right by your loved one. You're not quite sure what the right choice is, and it can be very heavy on the person. So to have a team would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I think a caregiver is maybe going through something for the very first time. Maybe the second time, but most likely the first time. And having people who know what to do is a big help, to have somebody to confer with and to help you in each little decision that might need to be made.
Yeah, I think about when I'm working with caregivers, I'm often telling people, this is an entire industry. There are professionals who've studied this, who have had many years of experience. And a lot of caregivers come into it out of love, and they think that's all that's needed. But really, there are so many different medical terms and so many ways to provide care for someone and to communicate with them that's uplifting to them. And that it takes a lot of psychology, a lot of understanding. So it's great when you can have a team come in. And then also having to take someone to so many different appointments, that can be very challenging as well.
Right. So once hospice is involved, the attending physician stays the same, but the nurse comes in and is the eyes and ears of the doctor, and that prevents the caregiver having to make that big trip into the doctor's office.
Very
and
helpful.
A lot of other things like ordering equipment, bringing supplies in, just the kinds of things that caregivers are spending their entire day doing, all the errands that are involved sometimes.
Going to the pharmacy.
And then we have volunteers that can sit with somebody so that they can go out and get their hair done or go out and pick up the mail at the post office, and just all the little things that you suddenly have to think, how can I leave my loved one to go and get these things done? And unfortunately, when we come in as hospice, most of the time we're coming in where the caregiver has already burnt out. That's what's triggered the call to hospice, and we'd like to be there before that happens.
Yes, so if all of you listen, and then maybe you can reach out and get some support beforehand, for sure. That's great. Well, it also seems like, I would imagine, a lot of caregivers have guilt. They're so afraid that if they leave, that might be when their loved one passes. And so there's an extra pressure on them all the time to be there for that time.
That's true.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've seen that.
Yes, we have. I think the other thing too that I've heard from caregivers is that they experience compassion for their loved one because the burden is lifted, the day-to-day issues, that suddenly there's an ability to be in the role as the daughter, as the son, or as the spouse. Once those other things are more handled, that they feel the heart open up, and they can really feel that compassion. So
that's wonderful. It's such a wonderful service. And I've noticed that when a lot of people pass, that tends to be what's in the obituary is please send donations to hospice. And because it's such a powerful experience, and they realize what an amazing service it is.
Yeah.
And so they want to pass that on for
And
others.
they feel supported. You know, they feel like the whole community has come and supported them in this very lonely journey.
Yeah.
And I think that makes people really grateful for hospice and want to help. They sometimes go on to become volunteers for hospice. So
That's what's so wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
people give back because they know what it's like to go through it and how special it is. So, just a real quick glimpse of what are the parameters? What qualifies someone to be on hospice?
just when there's a gradual decline and things are starting to get a little bit more tough, there's more medical decisions, there's more doctor appointments, there's more possibly visits to the emergency room, and you know your loved one is definitely starting in declining health. That's all that needs to happen is a nurse can come from hospice and just do an assessment and see if it's the right time or not.
That's great.
Yeah, and the doctor doesn't even have to say, the nurse can then approach the doctor and say, we've visited and we think this is a good time for hospice. Usually the physicians are happy because they want the person and their loved one to get support. I mean, they know it's hard. So
That's great. So somebody can just call hospice directly, and
directly.
I think that's another misconception. They think the doctor has to bring it up or refer them. So if the nurse can come out and then explain all of the things that would help the person qualify and what would be needed. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we are helping enlighten some of you out there. And thank you, Katherine, for speaking with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Karen.
All right. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.
Aloha.